Hey everyone, Attorney Bob Byrne here. Thanks so much for visiting my channel. Did you know that there's as many as 6 different types of personal injury attorneys out there? I imagine if you're trying to find a personal injury attorney, it's overwhelming because frankly, there are so many of us out there that it's probably next to impossible to figure out exactly who to choose. So today I want to help explain and identify the different types of personal injury attorneys that are out there so that you can figure out who you need to contact based on the type of case that you have. Hopefully you'll see that this is not self-serving information because we're actually not the best attorney for most of the cases that are out there. Instead, I'm hoping that this is something that you'll be able to watch, know what type of situation you're dealing with, and have an idea what type of attorney you want to hire based on that. So stay tuned. So let's dig in and start with the 6 different types of personal injury attorneys. And we'll start with number 1, the referrer. So in this day of social media and internet marketing, there are a lot of attorneys that have basically made it a point to just gather leads or gather cases and then refer those out to other attorneys. These attorneys just want to sign up a case and then get it in the hands of another attorney who they trust to be able to get a fee and then pay them a referral fee. So these guys admittedly are probably great marketers, not necessarily great practitioners. So that's something just to be aware of as you're seeing various attorneys out and about on the internet. The second type of attorney or law firm is the settlement mill. A settlement mill tends to be a very large advertiser. And oftentimes these firms work by handling cases on a volume basis. And they have a very, very, very low average case value. And that's because they want to get as many cases as they can and settle those as quickly as possible. So they're not necessarily worried about getting the top dollar for cases. They want to be able to move cases quickly. They tend to be very small cases, and there tend to be a lot of them. You can oftentimes see these firms because they don't have attorneys who necessarily are getting extremely large settlements, and they don't have attorneys that are getting verdicts because oftentimes they're not even filing suits. They're just taking cases through pre-litigation, trying to resolve them for the highest amount possible. Now, there are some pre-litigation firms that do a good job and they will handle your case and handle it aggressively. And if they can't settle it, then they're going to refer it out to an attorney who handles litigation or does some trial work. So the upside of working with these firms, if you have a simple, small case and you want a quick resolution and you're not concerned about getting every single dollar that it's worth, these firms might be a good option for you. But these are not the best firms if you have a large case, if you have one that's complex with, say, a traumatic brain injury. You have, say, a large commercial policy, or you have, say, a large corporation or a trucking company on the other side. Because those firms are not really well equipped at digging down deep and fighting these wars that tend to last a long time, that are very expensive, that require a really specialized knowledge and understanding of the cases. The third type of personal injury attorney that you may see out there is what I would call the jack of all trades. And a jack of all trades is an attorney who does a little bit of everything. You may see on their web bio that they do personal injury, but they also do divorce, criminal law, maybe some estate planning, several other types of law that aren't really connected at all and aren't related to personal injury at all. You may see these types of attorneys in small towns or in more rural areas where the market doesn't necessarily support someone who specializes in a particular type of personal injury case. And so if you're in a rural area, you have a smallish to mid-sized case, they could be a good choice, especially if you're going to have a difficult time getting a more specialized attorney from a more urban area to come to help you out. The pros of going with an attorney like this is that they oftentimes have some good experience for handling certain cases that are of a mid-level variety. They don't have enough volume to really handle the small cases effectively. They may not have the depth and understanding to handle the large cases, but some of those middle-level claims, they can work up, they can get some decent results on them. But you probably want to avoid the jack of all trades if you're dealing with a complex case. And by complex, I mean some difficult liability questions, some really complex injuries, large damages against corporations, trucking companies, those sorts of parties. When you're dealing with those situations, you're going to want someone who's more specialized, who has the experience to handle these really large cases. The fourth type of personal injury attorney that you may encounter when you're looking for attorneys is the mass tort attorney. So mass tort attorneys handle cases that are on a large scale, such as pharmaceutical claims or toxic tort claims, where there could be hundreds, thousands, even more people who've been injured by a dangerous product or something like that. In these types of cases, you're typically dealing with some really complex procedural issues about where the case needs to be brought and how it's brought and so on and so forth. There's things like class actions and multi-district litigation. And so there's all of these issues that can make those complex where you want to have a specialist. Now, you'd certainly want that mass tort specialist if it's a mass tort case. Like back in the day, there was Vioxx, a pharmaceutical case, or there's Roundup cases. You're going to want someone who's specialized for those. But you don't want to go to someone who specializes in Roundup cases for a tractor trailer accident or a catastrophic car accident case. Even though they are top attorneys and do outstanding work, they're not necessarily well positioned to be able to handle those what are called single event cases, like a tractor trailer crash case. The next type of personal injury attorney that you're likely to encounter is what I would call the litigator. A litigator is an attorney who's going to take the case. They're going to sign it up. They're going to file suit on it. They're going to conduct discovery, take depositions, get the case ready for trial. And they're going to do everything that the case takes except for actually try it. Now, there could be lots of reasons why they don't actually want to try it. They may not have the experience. They may not have the interest. It tends to be a different skill set to litigate a case than to try a case, or there's certainly some complementary parts to it, but it is different. Some attorneys don't feel comfortable working up a case and trying it, but they will get right to the courthouse steps. Now, there's some advantages and disadvantages to going with these attorneys. The advantages are that you're going to get one of the higher settlement values possible with a litigator, because as a case gets closer to trial and closer to a verdict, it increases the risk that a defendant or that an insurance carrier has. And so that increases the value of the case. But you may find that some insurance companies or corporations may say, well, this attorney who's handling this case is a great litigator, but they're not a great trial attorney. We don't think they'll try the case. And so you'll get to a point where that insurance company or corporation is going to say, we're willing to give you this offer. We're not going to give you a penny more. Take it or leave it. And a litigator who's not willing to take that case to trial may pressure you into taking that settlement. And so that's one of the downsides. One of the upsides is you can rest assured that if they are good litigators, then you're going to get a decent and probably fair value for that case. And the value of that should be well above what you'd get from a settlement mill, from a jack of all trades, and certainly from a mass tort attorney. But you're going to get a decent value even if you ultimately don't go to trial. So you're going to want to get your case in the hands of a litigator if it's a more complex case. So there's some difficult liability issue, but there's some really bad injuries. There's traumatic brain injury, there's spine injuries, neurological injuries, burn injuries. But if you're dealing with some severe consequences, then that's when you want to get a litigator involved. The last type of personal injury attorney that I want to mention is the trial lawyer. And so you'll see that there are some attorneys out there who don't handle vast volumes of cases. They don't handle small cases, but they hold themselves out as trial lawyers or trial attorneys. And those are the attorneys that will actually take a case to a civil jury. And those are attorneys that the insurance companies and the corporations fear the most. And there's different types of trial lawyers. You may have some that handle car accident cases, and they may do 10 to 20 trials per year in front of juries. Then you may have those trial attorneys who handle more complex but fewer cases. Trucking cases are a great example of this. We will set probably anywhere between 4 to 10 trucking trials per year. We typically will have maybe 2 of those per year go to trial. So most of the cases do settle. So even though we are trial lawyers, most of our cases do settle. The benefit of working for a trial lawyer is that if you go and you get a good verdict, it's most likely going to destroy the highest offer that the insurance company was willing to give. We've had cases where the insurance company offered $0 and we've gotten multi-million-dollar verdicts. And so in those cases that are really difficult, really complex, where there are significant and very substantial injuries with terrible damages, then that's where a trial lawyer can really excel. And so a trial lawyer can give you the best possible result that you can get. The downside, though, is when there's high reward, there's also high risk. And if you are in a situation where you have a trial lawyer and you decide, hey, listen, we're going to take this case to trial, there's always a possibility that the end verdict that you get could be worse than the offer that you were given before trial. There are no guarantees that you'll get a great result by going with the very best trial lawyers in the world. And the very best trial lawyers in the world have lost cases. And so you are not guaranteed that you'll get that very best result. So if you have a case that has catastrophic injuries or it's a death case, those are cases that you're going to want to get those in the hands of a trial lawyer or a trial lawyer's firm that has litigators that will get that case ready. Most likely, trial lawyer firms like ours, for example, are not really in a position to handle smaller cases. And instead, we're going to want to make sure we get people into the right hands, that we'll make a referral to a firm that we trust. One other thing to think of when you're talking about, on the one hand, the settlement mills and maybe jack of all trades on the one side, and then the litigators and the trial attorneys on the other, is that as cases get bigger, they get much, much more expensive. They require a lot more money to prepare that case to get it ready for settlement or for trial. And so to give you an idea, if you're handling like a big truck accident case and there are orthopedic injuries, lots of broken bones, and maybe a traumatic brain injury, it's very easy for the attorney to have to spend well over $100,000, several $100,000 to get that case ready for trial. And that's because you may need to hire lots of expert witnesses for accident reconstruction. You may have to hire several doctors who can explain the injuries. You may need to have economists and other economic damages experts. And all of these experts can cost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes even into the millions, depending on the case. Some firms that are built with resolving cases quickly aren't going to be in a place where they want to have a case that drags on for years and is going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars or more to get ready for trial. So I hope this video is helpful. You can see the 6 different types of personal injury attorneys that are out there, and hopefully now you have a better idea of what to look for when you're trying to figure out who you need to hire for your case. So thanks so much. I appreciate you watching this video. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing. I'd be grateful if you'd like this. And let me know if you have any questions, and please stay tuned for the next one. Thanks.